Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Mary and I give you an extra warm welcome. I would love it if you can click the subscribe button and stay for a while. I upload 3 times a week. Get ready with me, so shop my stash, try on new makeup. If it's beauty or makeup related, I will be posting it. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you more than you know. So as you can tell from the title of the video, today we're going to talk about Hourglass. They recently launched 2 new face palettes. Well, I shouldn't say new. Existing shades and face palettes. A blush and highlighting palette and a bronze and highlighting palette, which is the one that I picked up. So we are here basically to put it on my face, do a few comparisons, and talk about this because I feel like I do have some thoughts. So if you want to hear what I have to say about this launch in Hourglass, then go ahead and keep on watching. All right, my lovelies, I am back. Hair is pulled back. I did already go in to my base products. I went into the Hourglass Vanish Foundation. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. The last one that they launched, I think 2 years ago. 7.5 is the shade. And then with actually both orders, I did receive some sample cards of their concealer. So I went in to the shade Sepia as my concealer for today, Dolce & Gabbana pressed powder for my under eyes, and the Hourglass loose powder for the rest of my face. I do feel like I enjoy most of Hourglass base products. I recently did a video where I talked about everything that I owned from the brand. It's one of the only products that I'm kind of like, it's not for me, is the concealer, but everything else I do really enjoy from the brand. Okay, so let's talk about this new launch. They released 2 new face palette, the Ambient Lighting Edit Blush and Glow Volume 2, because this is a second part from last year's launch, and the Ambient Lighting Edit Bronze and Highlight. This is the first one, and it's the one that I purchased. I did already watch Morgan Turner's video, and all of these shades are existing shades. I also watched Angelica Nickvis' new makeup release video. I think she posts that video every Friday or every Saturday. Anyways, she did talk about this launch, and she said, now this is just word of mouth, I don't know how true this is, that Hourglass is supposedly getting rid of their single powder components, the compacts, because they don't sell as well. I don't know how true that is. Let me know if you've also heard that. So that could be the reason why they're hitting us so hard with so many face palettes, because they recently launched one, and just one color story in a little quad kind of face palette. I didn't purchase that. I didn't feel the need to purchase that. Honestly, I didn't need to purchase this either, but it drew me in. It's so pretty, you know? $90 for this bad boy. The Ambient Lighting Edit and Highlight Palette, $90. Here's some details. I'm on the Hourglass website. That's where I purchased mine. A limited edition palette including finishing powder, bronzer, and highlighter to create a seamless look. Utilizing our groundbreaking photoluminescent technology, the powders filter surrounding light to blur imperfections and refine the skin's appearance. The 6 shades can be used individually or layered together for a multi-dimensional soft glow finish. 100%, I do agree. Hourglass powders, there's just magic in there. Absolute magic. And if you've been a long time watcher of my channel, I've showed you a couple of times just the beauty that it does to my face when I wear all Hourglass products. Okay, so this palette has a 12-month shelf life and it was made in Italia. There's 2 different bronzers in here, Golden Bronze Light and Lunar Bronze. This is the Golden Bronze Light and this is the Lunar Bronze. There is absolutely no way that anyone with maybe a tan, maybe medium or deep complexion that can use these bronzers. I think, as always, they dropped the ball and made a whole group of people feel left out. Yeah, they could have done better and they could have released 2 different palettes, at least for the bronze one. For the blush, I feel like kind of can get away with it a tiny bit more, but as far as bronzer, no. Okay. Okay, apologies. Gosh, you already know. If you're in here for a minute, you already know. If you don't, apologies. My kids are just, husband's away at work. Yeah, it's windy as hell outside. Back to our regular programming. So I feel like this one looks lighter and maybe a little bit more metallic than this one. So let's jump into this one first and then we'll do that one. I'm pretty sure both of these are gonna work okay for my skin tone. I might have to build them up a tiny bit, but if I use a Sonia G brush, that shouldn't be a problem. I went into this one first. This is a Sonia G Classic Cheek. Okay, yeah, that's a good tone. Yeah, there's no way that this could work. For sure not deep. There's no way they can use this. Okay, that looks very pretty. Now we're gonna jump in to this one. Lunar Bronze, I think. This is the Sonia G Soft Buffer. Let's see if I need to build this one. Picked up a good amount. I burnt myself. Surprise, surprise, right? Okay, I feel like you can't tell too much of a difference between these two. Like side by side, you know? Maybe this one has a tiny bit more, like maybe a reddish undertone, and this one's more of a true bronzer. Yeah, so I would say this one tiny bit darker and it has a little bit more of a reddish undertone, and this one's like a true bronze. And I also feel like maybe this side is a little bit more of a satin kind of finish, and on this one I do see a slight glow. Okay, I like both sides. I don't like one more than the other. I'm gonna jump in to this Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette in Diffused Edit, and I'm going to use the blush in here, which is called Euphoric Fusion. I did not purchase the blush palette because I feel like I have enough blushes from the brand. Bronzers, not so much. This is a pretty light blush, but I do enjoy it. Like I do have to really build it up. Okay, you see that natural glow? So pretty. Okay, now we're going to jump in to some highlight. This one for sure is a highlighter. Let me look at the visual here. Champagne Strobe Light. It's a strobe powder. Okay, an incandescent strobe light. Incandescent and champagne. So these two are the strobe light powder, which is their highlighting powder, and these two are their finishing powder, which is nice to see. I feel like this one has a little bit more of a nude undertone, and this one's maybe a tiny bit more on the yellow side. Let's use one on each side for the highlighters. Okay, so we'll use the champagne on this side. This is the Worker L from Sonia G. I don't mind their strobe powders, but I don't use them too often. I can use their finishing powders as a highlight just because I prefer the natural kind of highlighter. Very, very pretty. Ooh, a little glowy. Wiping my brush off, and I'm going to go into the incandescent. Had such a hard time saying that earlier. I think this one might be a little bit more my jam. Oh yeah, a tiny bit more my jam. Still very highlighty, but I feel like this one sinks a tiny bit better into the skin, and this one I feel like it can definitely accentuate texture. Okay, and now for my favorite part, the finishing powder. I honestly did not understand the hype for Hourglass powders until I tried Hourglass powders. And one of my favorites is the finishing powder because it literally gives you such a natural glow, and it also has this beautiful blurring quality to it. So like I said, there's two, the dim light and the soft light. Dim light is this one and soft light is this one. We'll use the dim light on this side. I grab a big fluffy brush. This is the powder brush from Make Beauty. Let's start with dim light, which is the one that has a tiny bit of a nude undertone to it. And I dip my full brush in here, so the whole brush has powder. Then I tap it, and I just use this to kind of marry everything together. And it also gives you this like blurring effect. Like, can you see the difference between this side that has the finishing powder and then this side? It just almost looks airbrushed. And that slight glow, you can't see it too much on camera. It's usually when you're out and about in the daylight when you can just see it, but oh, I love it. Okay, wiping my brush. Now I'm gonna dip in to this one, Soft Light, which has a tiny bit of a more yellow undertone. And now both sides are even. So pretty. Love it. Okay, let me go ahead and see what I'm going to do with my eyes. Get my eyebrows done, my lashes, lips, and I'll be right back so we can do some comparisons, probably some swatches and all the good stuff. Okay, wind is just, it's crazy out there. Okay, so makeup is done. For the eyes, I went into the Grunge palette from Huda Beauty. Eyebrows, I have on the Gucci pencil and the Make Beauty brow gel. For the lips, I have on the Hourglass lip liner in Teint 3 and the Merit Beauty matte formulation lipstick in the shade Sunday. I don't think this lip goes too well with the eye look, but it's fine. I do not have a lipstick from Hourglass, but it's definitely on my want to try out list. Just don't know when. Okay, so here are swatches of the palettes. Right up here are the two finishing powders. This one's the yellow tone one, and this one's the one with the like nude undertone. And then this is the incandescent highlighter. That's the bronzer, lunar bronze, and then this is the other bronzer, golden bronze light, and the champagne highlighting powder. Strobe powder is what they call it. Okay, so I own two of the holiday palettes that they release, I think, every year. First one I purchased was the Tiger palette, and this one is meant for like your tan to deep complexions. It technically does not have a bronzer in here because this is actually a finishing powder, but I use it as a bronzer. So let's go ahead and compare this one to the two bronzers in the new palette. So this is the golden bronze light, and I don't know if you could see, but it actually has like a golden sheen to it. And this is the lunar bronze. On my finger I have the finishing powder from the Tiger palette. Way darker. Yeah, it doesn't even compare. I would definitely say this has a reddish undertone when I use it as a bronzer. The other one I have is this one here, which is actually the Snake palette, but I chose the owl artwork. And this one does have a bronzer. What's the name of the bronzer? Solar Bronze right here. So let me swatch this. I'm trying to remember. I think this one also has a slight reddish undertone to it. Right here. Oh yeah. I would say it's more close to the Tiger palette than the new bronzers, or the new to me bronzers from this new palette. And then I do own this little face trio, but this one is the Bronze Light. Probably won't even stack up at all to either of these bronzers. I have to really build this up. Now I do own individual compacts. One is a bronzer, which is Bronze Light, which I have in that trio. Another one is a blush. I forget the name of it, but I don't have that blush in any of the face palettes that I own. And then the finishing powder in diffused light, which is in this one. So I have this in an individual, and it's the mini ones. So I would say none of the bronzers that I own are like the new bronzers in this new palette, which makes me happy. Okay, as far as the highlighters and finishing powders, it's the Snake palette, but I have it in the Owl. This one here is a Strobe Light Metallic Strobe Powder, which is their highlighter. Infinite Strobe Light. This looks more golden than champagne. I don't think it's even close. Yeah, see? And then this one here is a finishing powder in Radiant Light, which I don't feel looks at all. Well, maybe dim light, but not really. Here, let me swatch it. So what did I say? Radiant Light. And we're gonna compare this. It's right here. You know what? I cleaned my hand because I had a tiny bit of residue from the bronzer. So this is Radiant Light. I mean, you can barely see it. And then this is Dim Light. So it's definitely lighter, and next to this, it looks like it has a slight pink undertone to it, doesn't it? The Tiger palette, I don't think it has. Yeah, no. Maybe this one here, what is that? It's a Metallic Strobe Powder. Brilliant Glow Strobe Light. I have used this as a highlighter. I don't think I've used it as a finishing powder. Oh my goodness. Let me make sure I don't swatch on top of that one. Oh yeah, it has like a metallic sheen to it. Yeah, I use this mostly as a highlighter. Okay. All right, my lovelies. I don't think any of the highlighters from the other palettes that I have would even come close to compare to this one. That's a true champagne, and this one's like a almost white iridescent kind of strobe highlighter. I wouldn't even say it's metallic. As you saw when I applied it, it's a pretty natural kind of formula that just kind of sinks into the skin, you know? So I don't think comparing any of the highlighters would compare to this one. Now, would they look similar on the cheeks? More than likely, yes. But I feel like the ones I own from these palettes, since they are meant for a tan, deeper complexion, they're a little bit more on the golden side, where I feel like this one's a true champagne, which I feel is mostly what I go for on my day-to-day kind of highlight. Okay, so am I enjoying this palette? Yes. I've only used it once, but I have a feeling it's probably going to get a lot of use out of me, just because I feel like this is the perfect color combination for my skin tone. Again, I think they could have done better. I honestly 100% feel that there should have been 2 or 3 palettes of the bronze one. The blush you can get away with only releasing 1 palette. I feel like blush is a tiny bit more forgiving, especially for the Hourglass powders, but bronzer wise, there's no way someone that has a deep complexion can use any of these bronzers. I don't think they can. I would have to go look for reviews, but I honestly don't think they can. So I feel like they dropped the ball yet again and should have come out with more than 1 palette. But I think that is the reason why I'm truly enjoying this, because I feel like it's meant for like the middle spectrum of all of the shade ranges that there is available. Did I need it? No, I didn't. It's $90 and I did not need it, because if I were to use either one of these for the highlight and the bronzer on one side and this one on this side, I don't think you'd be able to tell that I have two different palettes, you know? So I feel like I could have skipped, but I got pulled in. The blush palette was an easy skip for me, just because I feel like when it comes to Hourglass blushes, a lot of them end up looking very similar on the cheek. All of the blushes that I own that are in my palettes, I feel like they look pretty similar. So for me, the blush was a super easy skip. But I'm happy that I have this in my collection. I will be using it a lot. I hope this video helps you out in deciding whether you want to pick this up or not, if it becomes available again, because it is sold out. It is currently sold out on the Hourglass website. I don't know if it's coming to Sephora. I don't know if it's coming to other retailers, but I feel like Hourglass is pretty on point when they say limited edition. All right, my lovelies, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. You have no idea. All the comments, all the likes. If you use my links to shop, it truly does mean the world to me. I feel like when it comes to Hourglass, I get excited because every time I use the brand, especially the powders, my makeup looks absolutely stunning. I mean, my face speaks for itself. All right, well, do not forget to give the video a big thumbs up, and also don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you all on the next video. Bye.